Our guest is Fred Dahle on the Roger and Harley Show. Fred, we are glad to be able to have you with us. You for about 30-some years, I believe. Let me have you move up a little closer here. Some 30 years or 32 years, was it, that you were driving for Dr. Will Mayo and with the Mayo family. Am I correct?
Yes, that's right.
What span of years did that cover?
Well, that covered from 1920 to 1939 when Dr. Will passed away.
Were you with him at the time he died?
Yes, I was with him.
You know, we talked with another friend of yours, Ben Stephan, recently, and I guess you knew Ben, didn't you?
That's right, yes.
So I suppose sometimes when the doctor's mail would take off for perhaps Tucson or Chicago or New York, both of you would be driving them together.
That's right.
Quite an entourage of cars, quite a group of cars?
Well, yes, the doctor and Mrs. Graham often went with us. That was Mrs. Dr. Charlie's sister, brother. Dr. Graham was Dr. Charlie's brother-in-law, that's right. So there was quite a crowd as a rule. And then, of course, the years that we were trailerites, Dr. Will had a very fine trailer, and so did Dr. Charlie. And we made a lot of trips. In fact, we traveled about 35,000 miles in those trailers from Mexico to Canada and so forth and so on.
What kind of a car did you start out driving when you first went with Dr. Will in 1920?
Well, that was a Packard 902 series, and in those days, of course, there was no limousines. You had an open car, and we'd start out from Minneapolis, which was in those days not even gravel road, sitting on the pavement. And if a rainstorm come up, you'd have to stop and get out, put on the side curtains. The sun would come out, you'd have to, so you might do that twice or three times between here and Minneapolis.
You have some pretty fond memories, some very unusual experiences that happened while you were driving. Did you ever have any breakdowns or you had to go for help yourself?
Well, no, there was no serious breakdowns. We did have some car trouble that was remedied overnight. I mean, you could get because as a rule, the doctor traveled on a pretty tight schedule, and there wasn't, if the car had to be worked on, it would be done at night and ready for in the morning.
Now that was a Packard, but they had several. Dr. Will had several cars.
Yes, he had, at that particular time, he had two open Packards and then a Packard limousine, which was a special thing that you'd take the body off in the wintertime, the open body, and put on the limousine body. And then Miss Mayo always had a Cadillac that she called her own.
Now, how many children were there in the Dr. Will Mayo family?
Well, there was two daughters, Mrs. Waltman Walters and Mrs. Donald Balfour.
So I suppose at times you took them various places?
Yes, that's right. They went with the doctor, Miss Mayo, oftentimes. And of course, the only really recreation the Dr. Will had was good cars and a good boat. He had a good boat on the Mississippi River.
That was the North Star, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was the North Star. Well, before that, he had the big stern wheeler, the Minnesota. And of course, he couldn't get into a lot of places with that he could with the North Star. See, the North Star would only draw about 28 inches of water, where the stern wheeler would take a lot more, and you couldn't go back up in the little rivers that he liked to go.
Let's pause for just a moment here on the Raj and Harley Show. Our guest is Fred Dahle, who for many years, over 30 years, was the driver for Dr. Will Mayo. Fred Dahle, when the President Franklin Roosevelt, came in 1934 and again in 1938, were you one of the drivers in that fleet of cars that went out south here and into the Stewartville and Chatfield area?
Yes, I was.
You know, as a kid, I recall in 1938, and I guess President Roosevelt was here to see son Jimmy in the hospital.
That's right.
You drove right out past our farm home, some 20 miles southeast. You stopped first and visited with a fellow named Fred Santee, southeast of Stewartville, and then moved right on down. I was just a little tyke walking along the road to school with my sister, and we didn't realize that that was Fred Dahle driving there. I didn't realize, of course, who it was, but my sister was older, and she says, well, that's the president. She knew he was going to be there. And you had, now you can tell me what kind of car, but there were 6 motorcycles in that group. We had first a couple of motorcycles, and then a car, 2 more motorcycles, another car, 2 more motorcycles, and another car. I can remember that. 3 cars and 6 motorcycles. So what were the makes of cars?
Well, Clark Fisher drove in that particular trip.
So he must have had a Packard.
He had a Packard, and he drove the president rode with him at that time.
Mm-hmm. That would be in the lead car or the middle car?
That would be in the middle car.
Middle car.
Yeah, and then I was back of the middle car, and then they had Secret Service, I imagine, in the front car.
It seemed like you were driving a convertible. The last car, I recall, was open, and it seemed like there were some young ladies that were... Everybody waved at us as kids on the road.
Yeah.
This was an open car, and they were waving.
Well, let's see, I think that we had... all 3 of them were open cars, I believe, at that time.
Well, that could be.
Right offhand,
But
I
you
don't
were
remember.
You were moving right along.
That's right.
You weren't killing any time. As a small lad who was all of 6 or 7 years old, and it'd be about 1938, I guess.
That's right.
You had a chance to, were you in the 1934 driving when President Roosevelt was here at Soldiers Field?
No, again, Clark Fisher was the man that drove the president's car. I had a lot of the follow-up, so to speak. I was in the lineup, and also when we went to see, they had intended to take the president on Dr. Will's boat.
I see.
At Lake City, but for some unknown reason they canceled that. We did go, however, to to Lake City in quite a fleet of cars. But when we arrived there was something that the secret police didn't like about it, and so whether it was the ease of someone getting at the boat or what happened, but they didn't make the trip.
I see. They didn't even go over then. You didn't go out on the river. You went over to Lake City.
Went to Lake City, but it didn't go on. They boarded they had a car there and boarded the train at Lake City and left from there.
Seemed there was some celebration though too there. There was quite a crowd, wasn't there?
There was a big crowd there. That's
And I've seen some of the pictures. We'll pause again for a moment. Fred Dahle, our guest, for many years the chauffeur for Dr. Fred, can you give us some of the highlights now? You said you've lived for 18 winters, I believe, in Tucson. Each of the doctors had a home there in Tucson, a winter home.
That's right. One of the main reasons for going to Tucson was Dr. Dahle was sick, and Dr. Mayo and Miss Mayo went there to be with him. And he was there in the sanatorium, and as they were there, they started to walk around, liked the looks of the country, and they bought this little home on 5th Street and Plummer in Tucson. And of course, that was in '36, so the doctor didn't get a chance to enjoy it very long because he passed away in '39.
And he died here in St. Mary's, didn't he?
He died at home. He had his surgery, and then he went home, and he passed away there.
Trying to recall, I think that Dr. Charlie died first, didn't he? About 2 months.
That's right.
Yeah.
He died in Chicago.
Ben was giving us some of the highlights. Do you run into your old friend Ben Stephan occasionally?
Yes, I see him ever so often.
And who else from the old school, some of the old grads that were in your era there of the 20s and 30s that worked or had close associations with the Mayo family?
Well, of course, when I went to work for Dr. Will, Louis West was the driver. And
Louis is still here?
No, Louis has passed away. And Earl Pomeroy was the the houseman, and he's also passed away. Then after Louis went down into the shop at the clinic. Then I took over from there and carried on as he had for quite a few years.
Where was Dr. Will's headquarters here now? Was that on 4th Street Southwest, his home?
His home was on, yes, 4th Street Southwest.
In right near what is now the college apartments, the house next to it?
No, well, the original home, you mean?
Yes.
The original home was where the college apartments are now. Mm-hmm. And then Dr. Charlie was in the red house right east of it, the first house east of it. Then, of course, the main reason for the building of the home on 4th Street, the one that they built in 1917, they had a lot of dignitaries come, and no real good place to house them. Mm-hmm. Cook Hotel was about the only thing they had at that time. And so that was the reason, and he entertained a lot of dignitaries from abroad.
Who are some of the other big names that were here, from any kings or princes that you recall from abroad?
Well, of course, there was quite a few dignitaries from England, especially, mm-hmm. like Lord Monaghan and I can't recall this all on right now, but Dr. Learmouth was one of them. That he was appointed to the king from the Mayo Clinic, mm-hmm. and went there to practice as a surgeon. And
your memory is very sharp. Apparently, you've got most of this right down pat, and it stays right with you, and you cherish your memories.
That's right.
You?
That's right.
You've got to be 80 what? 80.
No, I'm 75 years.
75.
Yep.
All right, you and Ben Stephan are about of an age then.
That's right.
We were just kind of trying to guess, and I couldn't tell how long. We aren't always the best in guessing ages, and usually we don't tell much about it, but I guess when you get to be 75 and still going strong, you can be proud.
That's right. That's right.
More here in just a moment with Fred Dahle. Well, we know that Fred Dahle is retired now, along with his lovely wife. They live here in Rochester. And you have a family, grown and grandchildren someplace?
Yes, we have a daughter that lives here in Rochester. And we have a grandson. And he's married and has 2 lovely children. Becomes our great-grandchildren, of course. And we're great outdoorsmen, fishermen. Katie's husband loves to fish and hunt, and so does Jerry and I. And incidentally, we're going to leave now tomorrow night for a little fishing trip. Actually, we can tell the people that as this tape is being played on the air, you're gone fishing. That's right. Yeah. Fred, it's interesting visiting with you, and perhaps we can do it again. Now, I'm sure you haven't told us very many stories yet. Well, no, I could carry on for elaborate on, sure. But we'll certainly have you back again, and we thank you kindly. Well, that's wonderful. I was glad to do it. Fred Dahle, formerly the driver for Dr. Will Mayo from 1920 for many years until his death, and thereafter for several more years. And our guest today on this Labor Day in the Raj and Harley Show.